Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're going to have another look at Space Engineers. Now, what I'd like to do is every time an update comes out, maybe a day or two after that update comes out, I'm going to kind of discuss what has happened in the update and things that have changed. So we have a number of things that have been added into the game. First off, we have the tools that have been added into the game. So we've got the torch, the hammer, and the mace. We're going to kind of discuss these tools and their additions, as well as we have a number of blocks, new blocks that we'll be looking at in a little bit here. But first I'd like to look at the tools, and I'd also like to discuss another change that has happened. So, if we press our K button, we have the same screen that we had before where we could change things to night mode if we wanted. But now we actually have control over the sun itself and the direction of the sun. Now if you look actually up in the sky, the sky box, you won't see the sun moving at all, and we'll do that here. Let's find the sun. If we look at the sun, as I change these, you'll notice that the sun doesn't actually move. So that is one thing that isn't in the game yet, but we can change the direction of the light, how it comes in. So you can kind of simulate different times of the day. As a matter of fact, we can almost simulate a kind of, dusk or dawn, depending on how we want to do things. So this is just like the sun just coming over these mountains. So most of everything is kind of dark, but you have a little bit of sunlight. So that's kind of cool that you can do that. And then this is, all the way up in the sky. So you can really mess with how the light comes in, and you can also mess with the intensity. So here is some weird planet where the sun is super bright. I'm sorry if I hurt your eyes doing that. Or you can have it really dim. It's all up to you. I think about 1.5-ish was where it was before. You also have fog settings. Now, density obviously is how dense the fog is, and then the multiplier is just, how thick that fog is on top of that. So that's pretty much the fog and the lighting settings that are coming through. It looks like you can also change the color of the light, maybe. Not exactly sure exactly what this does, but we'll not mess with that too much. The removing fracture stuff is all the same, but one thing we want to look at is the night box, because one of the new tools we have is the torch. So as you can see here, we've equipped the torch, and it gives us a little bit of a light radius around us, but not a whole lot. So if we come into this this building here, this building's not lit at all, so it's completely pitch black. But as we come in, you can start to see a little bit, make out a little bit of the structure. We can just barely see the ceiling above us. It gives us a little halo of light, but not much more beyond that. And if we unequip the torch, you'll notice now we're descended into the nice darkness of pitch black. So yeah, that's a nice feature. So that's one of our tools. The other tool we have is the hammer, which we can see swaying around as I move. You can swing this around, left mouse button. Now, right mouse button looks like it appears to do some kind of block animation, if I were to guess what that animation is. And if we do a real quick experiment here, we can put a couple blocks here, and we can kind of see what happens when we hit it with the hammer. So we just left click here. We get a little bit of slowdown as we get a little bit of fracturing, and we're doing a little bit of damage to this block. It looks like we've kind of cracked it in half there. So if we press K and we remove all the fractures, we can see some of the bits that we broke off there. So obviously our hammer's doing some damage to this block. But it's just not just straight up destroying this block. And as I said, right mouse button doesn't really do anything. So it's probably some kind of block. Now the other weapon tool we have, or I guess weapon, is this mace. And again, right mouse button seems to do some kind of block animation, and left mouse button does an attack. And just with the hammer, if we attack this block, it does break off bits of it. So it does do damage, just I would say relatively equivalent to the damage that the hammer does. So I'm not really sure what the differentiation between the hammer and the maces, and it's quite possible that's something that will come into the game later that just hasn't been implemented. Possibly when we are able to actually build things in survival mode with. Actually, I haven't tried out survival mode at all. That's another addition to recent updates is survival mode. Not this update, but the update before. So I wonder if the hammer has more survival mode applications. Maybe that's something we'll try out in another video. As well as the block feature. Now, if we get a barbarian out here, let's see what happens when we hit him with a mace. And sometimes, yeah, so we hit him pretty much once and it drops him immediately. I actually wonder, it looks like we can activate him. Oh no. Maybe he's lootable, that's why that is. So essentially you thwack him with the mace, he goes down. Now if we switch to the hammer, after we drop another barbarian, we can see the difference here. Obviously, one thwack and he's down. Now I've tried testing out the block and animation to see if it actually is a block that would protect you from the barbarians. So far, no luck, because it's kind of hard sometimes to get the barbarian, the AI, to do what you want it to do when you want it to do it. And I haven't really gotten a chance to really test that out. Maybe that's something that works a little bit better in survival mode, so we'll try that out in survival mode maybe in another video to see if the block will protect you from the barbarian attacks, because the barbarians will kill you from what I understand in survival mode. Not something I've really looked at yet, survival mode, because it just got, introduced into the game. And I usually like to step back a little bit from these updates as they come, because sometimes when they're first released, they're a little bit buggy. So you do have to kind of get used to that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the new blocks that we have available to us. Okay, so let's go ahead and select a number of them. So we have new arches here, and I want a normal arch as well. Or no, that's part. Okay, yeah, they're all part together. We have a new slope piece as well as different stair choices. So let's grab one of those as well. And I think that's about it. Mostly the stairs, slopes, and the arches are the thing that is different in this patch. So let's go ahead and we've got, let's grab one of these. And, well, we'll put that in the number 1 key so I actually remember where it is. And we'll put, I want a normal wall. I'm trying to, oh yeah, here it is. Alright, so we've got a number of choices here. So let's build ourselves a little platform and we can kind of demonstrate what these different blocks are. So throw ourselves out a little platform to build off of. Alright, that's probably good there. I'll just fill this in. Okay, so what do we have to work with? So if we hit the tab key, we can look at our different blocks. So you had the slope block before, so if we build this, it's pretty typical. There's not really much variation in that. But now we have the new slope corners, something I'm pretty excited about. So you have a number of choices here. You have a corner like that. You also have a rounded off corner, which comes in like this. And then we have one other corner choice, which is just like this. And obviously, if we try and match it up to that corner, it fits in just nicely. And so even though we have the 2 corner types, they mesh together pretty well. And then we can just, use our slope blocks here to kind of finish off this shape. And you kind of get the idea. So it adds a lot more flexibility to the slope blocks, which I was really excited to see because I wanted to build the structure that's over there. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now the other blocks that we have to choose from are the arch blocks, and I want to kind of build a wall here to kind of demonstrate those. So we'll do it a little bit out here. just, for a little bit of support, we'll build it out a little bit. So the arches that we have to work with. So before, the main arch we had was this. But now we have a little bit of options with this. We can do a setup like this, or like this, or like this. So you have three choices. So this one here, if we did it like that, it comes off a lot more squared, whereas the previous option is much more rounded. So you have a lot of options depending on how you want to do the different arches. And we can also, if we build out a wall over here, oop, that's not where I wanted to, there we go. We build out a wall over here, we can also demonstrate the next block, which is this, which allows us to round a corner with an arch. So now we can just use the normal arch block, and as you can see, we're now able to round these corners with the arches, which gives us a lot more versatility when we're building these arch ceilings, which may help me out quite a lot when I'm building my large stone structures. I've struggled with this a little bit, but now I have a lot more flexibility as I can round corners with the arches, make much more fluid structures. So this patch brings a lot of things that excites me quite a bit. We have the corner pieces for the slopes, and we have more versatile arches. So that's good. Now the last arch we have to work with is now essentially a 2-block arch. So here we have a 2-block arch as opposed to our previous arch, which was just a single block like this. So now again, more versatility with arches. We can go from just the one space arch to now a 2-space arch. So essentially that's the difference in the new blocks. So all of that gives us a lot more versatility with our building. Much needed changes. So I'm really happy to see it. So let's discuss my little structure here and what I was trying to build. Now what I was trying to build is this was kind of supposed to be a Japanese style keep, or Japanese style castle, mostly keep, just like this is a keep, not a castle. This would be a Japanese keep. Now, essentially what I did is I used the slope blocks to make a lower level out of stone, this is a latter period Japanese keep. Essentially, they made castles completely out of wood for a very long time in Japan. But it wasn't until the addition of Western firearms that they started to make the lower level out of stone so that it could resist the fire damage from firearms. Now cannons were pretty rare in Japan, so it didn't really affect castle building like it did in Western, in Europe in general. All they needed to do was resist more, the more portable firearm technology at the time, not the bigger cannons that, Europe had to worry about. So mostly they would do the lower level in stone, and then the upper levels would still be wood. There are not very many existing castles in original construction in Japan. I think there's only 1 or 2 that are made out of the original materials of stone and wood. A lot of the reproductions use cement now for the wooden part of the structure to make it a little bit more structurally sound. But that does show you the durability of these buildings. Even though the whole top section was made out of wood, there are, I know for sure, one still standing that is made out of its original wood construction. So when the Japanese were making their castles, they made them to last and made them to stand up against earthquakes. And that was a lot of their primary concern when they were building castles, is could the walls stand up to an earthquake, because earthquakes are quite frequent, as we all know, in Japan. So a lot of their design philosophy was a lot different. Now this is, as I said, a later era keep. It would be dating from the 1600s and latter. After that, because that's when these type of keeps first started showing up. So just to show you, this is very simplistic in its design, and it was really just an experiment. So I did a sloped bottom level out of stone. which we have coming into here. This is non-furnished or finished. And then it's wood coming up into here, and that is pretty much the way it's constructed. Now I have another level that I wanted to bring this thing up to, and as it is now, the structure is very, very basic in its construction. I did put windows in the upper level, but it is not possible at this moment to get up into that upper level because I had a little bit of a problem with the structural integrity of the wood as it is. And I think the problem is, and I'm going to discuss this. So essentially what I did is I have one level of walls. Let's go outside so we can see this. I have one level of walls and I have one level of the roof. And as you can see, there is kind of a space in between the roof. That's something that I think they need to, give us an ability to close up these gaps in the future. But from what I'm thinking, what is happening is I'm using this level of roofs, and then I have the next level. I put the floor right on top of the roof tiles, and then I put another wall. And now this works all fine. I mean, if you look at the structural integrity, everything's nice and green, other than we have a little bit of yellow down on the bottom levels of, well, lighter green, I guess I should say, on the lower levels of the stone structure. But more or less everything's green. But what happened was, as soon as I tried to cut through this layer of wooden floor, it really compromised the structural integrity of the roof tiles here and the walls. And I was not able to get that floor section cut out and be able to have a stable stair platform to go up. Because as you can see with this level, you have the stone wall goes right up into the wood wall. So it is, a very well supported structure. But the next level up is supported by the roof, and I don't have anything else supporting that. So possibly, if I were to do something that were to support the floor above it without depending completely upon the roof tiles, even though the roof tiles are completely green, I think that may solve that problem. That's not something I'm going to try out right now because I had a lot of, I did a stream of this and that was just a catastrophe as I just kept having this structure fall apart on me. So that it might be something I experiment a little bit more with, possibly using these wooden slope pieces as structural rigidity maybe would help, or adding a little bit of more support here would help quite a bit, keeping this more structurally sound. But as it is, this structure doesn't really work all too well. But this was a very simplistic, small, little experimental building that I was just trying out. And it's something I'm going to work with more. I don't know of anyone that's really tried to do a Japanese style keep like this. Obviously, I'd like to add a little bit more flair than what I've got going. Having a little bit more roof tile choices would be nice, so that I could make this thing a little bit more Japanese looking. But this game isn't designed to be Japanese medieval engineers. This is more Western Europe times, even though medieval periods existed all over the globe. We're focused more on Europe, obviously, with these buildings. So for me to expect Eastern style building blocks at this, especially at this early access of a point, is a little unrealistic. But I still think that the actual structure, worked out. It actually did what I wanted it to do. I just have to work out some of the kinks. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.